The bounty hunter couple was known only by their aliases, whispered across the galaxy like myths. Their real identities were a mystery, hidden behind a veil of speculation and rumor. Some said they were former soldiers who turned their back on the system. Others believed they were outlaws seeking redemption. Whatever the truth, one fact was undeniable: they were the best. Their reputation wasn't built on flashy boasts or public appearances. It was earned through results. No target, no matter how elusive, had ever escaped their pursuit. Their methods were ruthless yet calculated, combining advanced technology with sheer tactical brilliance. Those who knew of them spoke of their efficiency and their uncanny ability to anticipate every move of their enemies. As news of the Galactic assassins spread, fear gripped humanity. Colonies fortified their defenses, but the attacks continued. It was in this desperate hour that the couple emerged. They didn't seek glory or payment. They had their reasons, though they kept those private. Their decision to take on the assassins wasn't announced. They simply acted, as they always did. Their first step was to gather information. The assassins operated in secrecy, leaving little trace. But even the most meticulous killers leave clues if someone looks hard enough. The couple scoured crime scenes, analyzed patterns, and interrogated underworld informants. It wasn't easy. Fear of the assassins was pervasive, and many were reluctant to speak. Still, their persistence paid off. They began piecing together the assassins' methods and discovered faint traces of the technology they used. Preparation was their hallmark. They knew this wasn't a fight they could rush into. Every piece of equipment they used was carefully chosen for its specific purpose. Their weapons were a mix of cutting-edge firearms and customized tools, designed to adapt to any situation. Their suits, crafted with precision, offered more than protection. They amplified their movements, allowing them to act faster and with greater strength than any ordinary human. Built-in stealth systems rendered them invisible to most detection technologies. But tools were only part of the equation. Their real edge came from their minds. They planned each step meticulously, studying their adversaries until they could predict their every move. They operated on logic and instinct, blending strategy with improvisation. This was what had set them apart for years. Their first encounter with the assassins came sooner than expected. Tracking the faint traces of their technology led them to an abandoned outpost at the edge of the galaxy. The outpost was desolate, its structures crumbling, but the couple knew better than to underestimate the setting. They moved with caution, scanning every corner for traps or signs of life. Then, without warning, the attack began. The assassins didn't reveal themselves fully. Shadows darted between the ruins, and laser fire erupted from multiple directions. It was a test, a calculated effort to see how the hunters would respond. The couple didn't panic. They moved with precision, using the terrain to their advantage. Each shot they fired hit its mark, disrupting the assassins' carefully laid ambush. Their suits absorbed or deflected most of the enemy's attacks, and their quick thinking turned the tide. It was clear they had faced similar challenges before, but this time, the stakes were higher. As the battle progressed, they began to understand the assassins' tactics. These were no ordinary killers. Their coordination and agility were far superior to most foes. But even the best strategies had flaws. The assassins relied too heavily on their cloaking technology, assuming it made them untouchable. The couple exploited this, using motion sensors and thermal imaging to detect their movements. By the time the last assassin fell, the outpost was silent again. The fight had been brutal, but it yielded valuable insights. The assassins were more than a band of killers, they were part of a larger network. The couple examined their gear, uncovering technology that was far more advanced than anything publicly known. It wasn't just weaponry, it was an entire system of tools designed for stealth, precision, and destruction. Their victory was significant but sobering. This was only the beginning. The assassins they had encountered were skilled, but clearly not the leaders. If these were the operatives, the higher ranks would be even more formidable. Still, the couple wasn't deterred. They had faced impossible odds before, and they knew how to adapt. Their next steps involved analyzing the assassins' equipment in detail. Each device held potential clues about its origin. Every symbol, every material, every unique feature was scrutinized. It was tedious work, but it was necessary. They didn't just want to defeat the assassins, they wanted to dismantle the entire operation. Despite their success, they remained unseen. They left no messages, no signs of their presence. To the outside world, it seemed as though the assassins had simply vanished from the outpost. This was their way. They let their actions speak, never seeking recognition or validation. As they prepared for the next phase, they knew the challenges ahead would only grow. The assassins were likely aware of their existence now, which meant their future encounters would be even more dangerous. But this was what they excelled at, turning the odds in their favor, no matter how dire the situation seemed. The couple moved forward, not with arrogance but with determination. Their goal wasn't just survival, it was complete victory. They didn't fear the assassins. They were the predators now, and they had no intention of stopping until humanity was safe. The assassins weren't operating as an isolated group, they were part of a network, vast and interconnected. It became clear to the bounty hunters that this wasn't a random campaign of violence, but a calculated operation with purpose and direction. The network spanned across colonies, mining hubs, and trade routes, making it nearly impossible to predict where the next strike would occur. The assassins targeted humans with precision, their actions suggesting a grudge far deeper than mere conquest or profit. Unraveling this network wasn't easy. Each lead the couple followed seemed to branch into more questions. Some connections pointed to underground organizations that thrived on chaos, while others hinted at technological advancements far beyond what was publicly known. The assassins were methodical, leaving minimal traces, and every clue the bounty hunters found felt like it had been deliberately placed to mislead or distract. They persisted, knowing that understanding the structure of this network was key to dismantling it. Through their investigations, they uncovered fragments of the assassins' motives. These killers weren't driven by greed or power alone. It seemed their vendetta was rooted in an ancient conflict, one that humanity was only now becoming aware of. The assassins weren't mercenaries. They were part of something much larger, something that saw humanity as a threat to their existence. This realization made the stakes even higher. The couple wasn't just fighting for survival. They were combating an existential threat to the human race. Their pursuit led them to dangerous territory, where trust was scarce, and betrayal was common. They sought information from the galaxy's underworld, a murky network of smugglers, spies, and informants. Every interaction was a gamble. While some offered genuine intelligence, others attempted to lure the couple into traps. These moments tested their resolve and their ability to stay ahead of their enemies. The assassins, it seemed, were always watching, anticipating their moves. This constant tension made progress slow and perilous. Despite their expertise, the bounty hunters faced setbacks. Close calls became routine, with ambushes and counterattacks testing their limits. One critical mission to retrieve data from a secure vault nearly ended in disaster when the assassins set a trap, forcing the couple to fight their way out. These encounters weren't without cost. Their equipment, though advanced, often sustained damage, and finding replacements in remote corners of the galaxy was a challenge in itself. Yet, each setback taught them something new about their enemy, sharpening their skills and strategies. The emotional toll of the hunt was unavoidable. The assassins' relentless pursuit of their goals mirrored the couple's own determination, creating an exhausting cycle of attack and counterattack. The bounty hunters, though highly skilled, weren't invincible. They had their moments of doubt, their fleeting thoughts of whether they could truly overcome a force so vast and coordinated. But their resolve remained firm. They reminded themselves of the lives at stake, the colonies depending on them to end this nightmare. This sense of duty propelled them forward. Their breakthroughs came not through brute force but careful observation and analysis. By piecing together patterns in the assassins' movements and operations, they began to see the outline of the organization's hierarchy. The assassins' leadership wasn't centralized in one location but spread across several key figures, each controlling a different aspect of the network. This decentralization made the group resilient but also presented an opportunity. The couple realized that taking out these leaders one by one could destabilize the entire organization. With this understanding, their approach shifted. Instead of pursuing every lead, they focused on identifying and targeting these high-ranking figures. This wasn't without risk. The leaders were well protected, surrounded by layers of loyal operatives and advanced defenses. Gaining access to them required more than brute strength; it demanded subterfuge, precise planning, and a willingness to exploit the smallest weaknesses in their systems. The couple's adaptability became their greatest asset. They weren't rigid in their methods, always willing to adjust their plans as new information emerged. One of their key strategies involved creating divisions within the assassins' ranks. By planting misinformation and sowing distrust, they forced the organization to turn on itself, weakening its cohesion. This tactic not only gave the couple breathing room but also provided invaluable insights into the inner workings of the network. Their progress wasn't linear. For every leader they eliminated, new challenges emerged. The assassins adapted quickly, changing their methods and tightening their security. The bounty hunters found themselves in a relentless cycle of chasing and being chased. Yet, with each encounter, they grew more familiar with their enemy's tactics. They learned to predict movements, anticipate traps, and exploit vulnerabilities. The most significant turning point came when they uncovered the identity of the assassin's primary leader. This figure, shrouded in mystery, was the linchpin of the entire operation. The leader's role wasn't just tactical. They were the ideological force driving the assassin's mission. Taking them down would deal a critical blow to the network, potentially dismantling it altogether. Locating the leader's base of operations wasn't straightforward. The assassins had gone to great lengths to hide it, spreading false information and using decoys to throw off anyone who might come close. The bounty hunters relied on every ounce of their expertise, piecing together fragments of data and following leads that often seemed too tenuous to be worth pursuing. But their perseverance paid off. They discovered the leader's location, a heavily fortified stronghold deep in uncharted space. Preparing for the final confrontation required every resource at their disposal. The couple knew this mission would push them to their limits, but they were ready. Their hunt had revealed the scope of the assassins' network, their motives, and their weaknesses. Armed with this knowledge, they were confident in their ability to dismantle the organization once and for all. Their focus remained unwavering. They weren't just bounty hunters anymore. They were humanity's shield against a threat that sought to extinguish it. Each step they took brought them closer to their goal, and with every victory, the assassin's grip on the galaxy weakened. The couple's mission wasn't over, but the tides were beginning to turn. The final stages of the mission were defined by calculated risks and a relentless pursuit of the assassin's core. The bounty hunters had spent months unraveling the layers of secrecy protecting the leader of the network, and now they had a clear target. The leader's base, hidden deep in uncharted space, was unlike anything they had encountered before. It was a fortress, both technologically advanced and strategically positioned to deter any approach. Every step toward this target required meticulous planning and unwavering focus. The journey to the stronghold wasn't just a physical one, it was a mental test. The couple had to prepare for a confrontation that would push their limits. The assassin's network was still operational, though weakened, and every move the bounty hunters made was monitored. They knew their approach to the leader's location would not go unnoticed, but they used this to their advantage. Decoys, false signals, and misleading strategies kept the enemy guessing. By the time they reached the perimeter of the stronghold, they had already disrupted the assassins' communication lines and delayed potential reinforcements. Their strategy focused on precision. They weren't there to fight an army. They were there to dismantle the leadership that kept the assassins' network functional. This required bypassing many of the stronghold's defenses rather than engaging them directly. Every system they encountered, security drones, automated turrets, and surveillance networks, was analyzed and neutralized systematically. The bounty hunters had honed their skills over years, and their ability to adapt to new challenges was unmatched. Each obstacle was treated as a puzzle to solve, and their success was a testament to their resourcefulness and experience. The assassin's leader wasn't just the head of the network, they were the ideological force behind it. The hunters had learned enough about this figure to understand their significance. The leader wasn't motivated by personal gain, but by a vision that saw humanity as a threat to the galaxy's balance. This ideology had allowed them to recruit and organize some of the galaxy's most dangerous individuals. The assassin's loyalty was unwavering, built on shared beliefs and reinforced by the leader's authority. Removing this figure would create a vacuum that no other operative could easily fill. Reaching the inner sanctum of the stronghold required overcoming the most sophisticated defenses the bounty hunters had ever encountered. The leader had surrounded themselves with elite operatives, each as skilled and dangerous as the assassins the hunters had faced before. The bounty hunters' approach was methodical, isolating these operatives and neutralizing them one by one. Each encounter was a calculated risk, and the hunters relied on their extensive experience to outmaneuver these elite guards. The final confrontation with the leader was not a mere clash of weapons, it was a battle of wits and strategies. The leader was as formidable as the rumors suggested, using advanced technology and tactical brilliance to hold their ground. This wasn't an enemy that could be defeated by brute force alone. The bounty hunters relied on their adaptability and deep understanding of their opponent's tactics to gain the upper hand. Their success wasn't just about defeating the leader. It was about dismantling the entire structure of power and control that the leader had built. The aftermath of the confrontation was both decisive and chaotic. The assassin's stronghold, once a symbol of their dominance, began to collapse. The bounty hunters had anticipated this and had prepared for their escape. Their mission wasn't to destroy everything in the stronghold, it was to ensure that the network could no longer function. Key systems were sabotaged, critical data was erased, and the infrastructure that had supported the assassins' operations was rendered useless. The collapse of the stronghold wasn't just physical, it was symbolic. The assassins' network, once feared across the galaxy, was in disarray. The defeat of the leader sent shockwaves through the remnants of the network. Operatives who had once been loyal to the cause were left without direction. Some attempted to regroup, but without the leader's coordination and vision, their efforts were fragmented and ineffective. The bounty hunters had achieved more than a tactical victory, they had dismantled the foundation of the assassins' organization. For the bounty hunters, the mission's success was both a triumph and a burden. They had achieved what many had thought impossible, but the cost was significant. The journey had tested their physical limits, strained their mental resilience, and forced them to confront their own vulnerabilities. They had faced dangers that few could comprehend, and while they emerged victorious, the experience left a lasting mark. Their actions had not gone unnoticed. News of the assassins' defeat spread quickly, and the galaxy's human colonies began to breathe a collective sigh of relief. The bounty hunters became legends, their names whispered with a mix of awe and gratitude. Yet they didn't linger to bask in the aftermath. They had always preferred to remain in the shadows, letting their actions speak for themselves. Their work was far from over. They knew that while the assassins' network had been dismantled, the galaxy remained a dangerous place. The hunters' focus now shifted to the future. They understood that power vacuums often invited new threats, and the fall of the assassins might inspire other groups to rise in their place. Their mission had always been about more than survival. It was about ensuring that humanity could thrive in a galaxy full of challenges. This victory was a significant step, but it wasn't the end of their journey. Their legacy, however, was secure. They had not only stopped the assassins but had also shown what determination, skill, and unity could achieve. They had faced one of the galaxy's greatest threats and emerged victorious. Their story became a testament to the resilience of humanity and the strength that could be found in the darkest of times. With the fall of the assassins' network, humanity stood at a critical juncture. The immediate danger had been neutralized, but the implications of the conflict stretched far beyond the assassins themselves. The bounty hunters' victory had exposed vulnerabilities in humanity's expansion across the galaxy, highlighting weaknesses in its defense systems and coordination. These issues needed urgent attention to prevent future threats from exploiting the same gaps. The destruction of the assassins' organization left a significant power vacuum. The remnants of their network scattered, with some members attempting to regroup or forge new alliances. Without centralized leadership, these efforts lacked direction, but the danger of splinter groups remained. Smaller factions of assassins, disconnected from the original mission, still posed risks to human colonies. Their motivations varied. Some sought revenge, while others aimed to reclaim their influence. These lingering threats, while less coordinated, required continuous monitoring to ensure they didn't evolve into a larger problem. For humanity, the conflict underscored the importance of unity. The assassins had targeted scattered colonies that lacked the means to defend themselves effectively. This highlighted the need for a more centralized system of protection. Governments began discussing alliances and shared defense initiatives to create a stronger collective response to potential threats. These conversations were not without challenges. Political differences, resource disputes, and mistrust between factions slowed progress. Yet, the urgency of the assassin's legacy acted as a catalyst for change. The role of technology also came under scrutiny. The assassins had used tools far beyond what most human colonies possessed. This disparity raised questions about humanity's preparedness to face advanced adversaries. Researchers and engineers worked to reverse engineer the technology recovered from the assassins' network. The goal was not only to understand its capabilities but also to develop countermeasures against similar threats in the future. This effort was met with mixed results. While some advancements were made, the gap in technological understanding remained a stark reminder of humanity's limitations. The bounty hunters, while instrumental in ending the assassin's threat, remained enigmatic figures. Their actions had ensured humanity's survival, but they did not seek recognition or reward. Instead, they vanished as quickly as they had appeared, leaving many to wonder about their motives and identities. Their departure reinforced their reputation as independent agents, unconcerned with fame or political agendas. This mystery only added to the legend that surrounded them, inspiring both admiration and speculation across the galaxy. Their absence left a void in the fight against the assassins' remnants. Without their expertise, human colonies had to rely on their own resources and newly formed alliances. This transition was not without challenges. The assassins' methods had been tailored to exploit humanity's weaknesses, and the lessons learned during the conflict became the foundation for new strategies and defenses. Training programs were established to prepare a new generation of defenders, modeled after the tactics and resilience demonstrated by the bounty hunters. The conflict also brought to light the psychological toll of living under constant threat. Survivors from attacked colonies shared harrowing accounts of their experiences, revealing the lasting trauma caused by the assassin's reign of terror. Addressing these issues became a priority for leaders, who sought to rebuild not just the physical infrastructure of the colonies but also the confidence and morale of their people. Community initiatives, mental health support, and memorials to honor those who had fallen became central to the recovery process. While humanity focused on rebuilding, the question of the assassin's origins remained unresolved. The network's depth and resources suggested that it had not been operating in isolation. Speculation arose about who or what had supported them, and whether other entities in the galaxy shared their hostility toward humans. These uncertainties fueled ongoing investigations, with intelligence agencies and independent operatives alike searching for answers. The possibility of discovering hidden allies or backers of the assassins kept humanity on edge, aware that the victory might only be temporary. The assassins' defeat also prompted philosophical debates about humanity's place in the galaxy. The idea that another species or organization could perceive humans as a threat forced people to reconsider the impact of their expansion. Some argued for a more cautious approach, emphasizing diplomacy and coexistence with other species. Others believed in strengthening humanity's defenses and asserting dominance to deter future challenges. These discussions shaped the policies and direction of human exploration, balancing ambition with the need for survival. The legacy of the assassins' conflict extended beyond immediate recovery. It reshaped humanity's understanding of interstellar politics, the fragility of peace, and the value of collaboration. The galaxy was no longer seen as a frontier to conquer but as a complex and unpredictable environment requiring constant vigilance. This shift in perspective influenced everything from trade agreements to scientific exploration, embedding the lessons of the conflict into the fabric of human society. The bounty hunters, despite their absence, continued to influence this new era. Their methods and actions became the gold standard for dealing with high-level threats. Their ability to adapt, remain independent, and succeed against overwhelming odds inspired individuals and groups alike. They demonstrated that success wasn't about brute strength but about intelligence, strategy, and the willingness to take calculated risks. In the years following the conflict, humanity began to stabilize. The Assassin's network, once a symbol of terror, was reduced to fragmented memories and scattered remnants. Colonies that had once lived in fear found new strength in unity and resilience. The galaxy, while still dangerous, no longer felt insurmountable. Humanity had faced one of its greatest challenges and emerged stronger, more prepared for the unknown. The Assassins' defeat marked a turning point not just in human history but in their collective identity. It proved that even in the face of overwhelming adversity, determination and ingenuity could prevail. While questions remained about the origins and motives of the Assassins, the victory brought hope and a renewed sense of purpose. The galaxy was vast and full of uncertainties, but humanity was ready to face them, armed with the hard-earned lessons of the past. The Assassins' defeat brought significant changes to the balance of power in the galaxy. With their network dismantled, the void left behind created opportunities for various factions to rise and attempt to fill the gap. The human colonies, though relieved by the end of the immediate threat, faced new challenges. The power vacuum became a breeding ground for opportunists, from rogue organizations to mercenary groups, each attempting to assert control over areas once dominated by the Assassins. These developments required careful management to prevent new conflicts from spiraling out of control. Humanity's leadership recognized the importance of consolidating their defenses and establishing stronger alliances among the colonies. The lessons from the Assassins' attacks had underscored the vulnerabilities of operating in isolation. Efforts to form a unified defense system gained momentum, with proposals for shared resources, centralized intelligence, and coordinated response units. These measures were designed to prevent a repeat of the chaos caused by the Assassins' coordinated strikes, but implementation was slow due to political disagreements and competing interests among colony leaders. The aftermath of the conflict also highlighted the need for technological advancement. The Assassins' weaponry and stealth systems had outpaced anything humanity had developed. Scientists and engineers prioritized research into countermeasures and reverse engineering the recovered assassin tech. This led to breakthroughs in fields like cloaking detection, advanced surveillance, and precision targeting. However, the technological gap could not be bridged overnight, and progress came with its own challenges. Some colonies feared that these advancements could be used against them if they fell into the wrong hands, adding layers of tension to already fragile alliances. As humanity focused on rebuilding, the psychological scars of the conflict remained evident. Survivors of the Assassins' attacks carried the trauma of loss and fear, and this collective pain influenced the cultural narrative of the colonies. The Assassins became a symbol of what humanity could endure and overcome, but they also served as a warning about the dangers of complacency. Memorials were established to honor the victims, and their stories became a central part of education, reminding future generations of the cost of unpreparedness and the resilience needed to face existential threats. The uncertainty surrounding the origins of the Assassins added a layer of complexity to the recovery process. While the immediate threat had been neutralized, the questions about who or what had supported the Assassins persisted. Intelligence agencies dedicated resources to investigating potential backers, whether alien civilizations, rogue AI, or even dissident human factions. Each theory carried implications that demanded serious consideration. The possibility that the Assassins were merely a tool for a larger, hidden agenda kept humanity on edge, forcing leaders to remain vigilant even as they celebrated their hard-won victory. The role of independent actors in the galaxy also came under scrutiny. The bounty hunters who had taken down the Assassins were both celebrated and questioned. Their methods, while effective, raised ethical and strategic concerns about relying on unaffiliated individuals to resolve large-scale threats. This prompted debates about the need for formalized elite task forces that could operate with the same level of precision and independence, but within a framework of accountability. These discussions shaped new policies, laying the groundwork for specialized defense units trained to handle threats that exceeded the capabilities of standard military forces. Economic repercussions of the conflict rippled across the colonies. The assassins' attacks had disrupted trade routes, destroyed infrastructure, and created widespread instability. Rebuilding required massive investment, but the financial strain was unevenly distributed. Wealthier colonies were better equipped to recover, while poorer outposts struggled to secure the resources needed for reconstruction. This disparity fueled tensions and prompted calls for more equitable systems of resource allocation. While some progress was made, the underlying economic inequalities persisted, creating a breeding ground for dissent and potential unrest. Diplomatic efforts extended beyond humanity's internal affairs. The assassins' actions had drawn attention from other species and factions in the galaxy. Some viewed humanity's survival as a testament to their resilience, while others saw it as a potential threat. Diplomatic channels were established to address these concerns, with leaders emphasizing humanity's desire for peaceful coexistence. However, these efforts were met with mixed reactions. Some factions extended offers of alliance, recognizing mutual benefits, while others remained wary, fearing that humanity's expansion would lead to further conflicts. The assassins' ideology also became a subject of analysis. Their belief that humanity posed a danger to the galaxy resonated with certain fringe groups, sparking debates about the ethical implications of human expansion. While most dismissed these views as extremist rhetoric, others saw them as an opportunity to reflect on humanity's impact on the galaxy's ecosystems, cultures, and power dynamics. This introspection influenced some colonies to adopt more sustainable practices and prioritize diplomacy over aggressive expansion, though such shifts were far from universal. The bounty hunters who had played a pivotal role in defeating the assassins remained elusive. Their disappearance left a void in the narrative, fueling speculation about their identities, motivations, and ultimate fate. For many, they became symbols of hope and resilience, embodying the idea that individuals could make a difference even in the face of overwhelming odds. For others, their absence raised concerns about the reliance on unregulated actors to address existential threats. Efforts to locate or contact them were unsuccessful, adding to their mystique and cementing their place in galactic lore. As the galaxy moved forward, the assassins' legacy continued to shape humanity's path. The conflict had revealed both the strengths and weaknesses of human society, forcing leaders, scientists, and ordinary citizens to confront hard truths about their priorities and vulnerabilities. It had sparked advancements in technology, shifts in policy, and a renewed emphasis on unity, but it had also exposed divisions and unresolved tensions. The challenge of balancing progress with caution became a defining theme of the post-conflict era. Ultimately, the assassins' defeat marked a turning point in humanity's story. It was a moment of triumph, resilience, and survival, but it was also a reminder of the fragility of peace and the importance of vigilance. The galaxy remained a complex and dangerous place, full of opportunities and threats. Humanity, scarred but strengthened by its experiences, faced the future with a mixture of caution and determination, ready to navigate whatever challenges lay ahead.